You mentioned earlier the FBI, which you're pretty familiar with, and obviously there's the CIA. Now, it's one thing for Vivek and Elon to go in and, cut back at the Pentagon and these other places, although that's probably a dangerous place to walk around too. But the FBI and the CIA, I mean, they specialize in doing bad things, especially the CIA. So how do you go in and clean up an organization whose business is covert operations?
Money.
Take their money.
Yeah, because the CIA is essentially operating under the Defense Department, and by a constitutional edict, you have to confine your military bills to 2 years at a time. So you get automatic opportunities to review, renew, reject, or end. And there's always an assumption that there will be nebulous things that are there because they have to do with defense. But the problem is that even the Defense Department does step lightly when it comes to their appropriations, which have to be renewed every 2 years. So there is this opportunity for them to deal with, okay, you want to play hardball, we'll cut your money off. Now, we know you have some sources, one of which I think is in operation, is that there is an edge being taken off of the drug trade that's come in, because let's just say that a lot of times when we try to trace back large shipments of drugs, you ran into this, and I did have the unfortunate, or interesting circumstance of having a woman that was connected with a number of homicides, contract hits that wound up in my courtroom for trial. This person was subject to the fourth largest drug bust in DEA history at the time, and she was in Memphis. And we got deep off into the underground aspects of what's going on. So there did appear to be some things where money was mysteriously going to government entities to look the other way, and the justification seemed to be at the time it was being used to thwart communism, or in this case, terrorists. It later became that whole thing. So there is a bleed off between organized criminal activity and some of it being used to finance special ops, say black ops, and that could be cut off with some astute work with the Justice Department to clamp down on that, so that some bad habits get cured.
Okay. Judge, what's to stop them right now from shredding everything under the sun, from deleting things? I think Bobby Kennedy put out a tweet a couple weeks ago and said, he said to anybody in the National Institute of Health, save your records and pack your bags. Do you think that's actually happening? Do you think people are nervous? Do you think they're worried about, the records? Do you think they're covering things up?
What the London Real Investment Club actually does for you, it gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week, and for me, that was huge, because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best, and hope you come join us.
I think they are. There is an interesting thing about information. If you want to get power, get the information, get the data, get the reports. That stuff is available. I know in my courtroom, again, dealing with James Earl Ray, over the various years, assembled in this humongous file that was there, people that availed themselves of Freedom of Information Act opportunities. And also an interesting thing that the House set up and the Senate went along with in the late 1980s, which was they set up a repository for the records on assassinations and assassination attempts. And it was located on 14th, downtown DC. It was enabled by George Herbert Walker Bush and Bill Clinton through executive orders, and you could get a lot of stuff out of there. And when you started looking at it, it put a different perspective on a lot of what the American public thinks. And that kind of information is available. And if you had a cooperation amongst the governing powers that be, and set up something like that information repository that is no longer in operation. It's a storage facility now, and it's moved out to Bethesda, Maryland. But you can get information that will shut down or control a lot of these bureaucratic institutions that have gotten completely out of control because they have gotten used to answering to no one. But those are the methods that you use for indirect control. Now, I did have occasion, I mentioned my late brother, who ran security over in the Middle East. If you're interested in finding out who he is, his name is Clifford Stewart, Dr. Clifford Stewart, late of Los Angeles, California. He's an interesting lookup. And he had some diverse interests, and he wound up being one of the co-executive producers on my show. I brought him in so I could keep track of what they were trying to do, which sometimes was not holy. And let's put it this way, on a regular basis, the CIA would send a representative down there to consult with him on certain matters. And one of his clients happened to be a gentleman who was number 2 in line for the Saudi throne. He was head of Saudi counterintelligence. And my good brother was his administrative assistant and personal bodyguard at one time. So the CIA was always down there. By the way, that individual is probably in a dungeon now, but he was next in line for the Saudi throne. And he was born in California, a U.S. citizen. His father was born in California. All of his children were born in California, and he went to public school in California, kindergarten through grad school. So you remember this furor that the right wing had about why did you let these Saudis get on this airplane the day after 9/11 and leave? Well, that was him and his entourage, and my brother was on the airplane with them. So you get one of your friends the hell out of Dodge City when it gets hot. But you see, that kind of interesting background is what it is. So I know they would come in and consult with him once a month. I just say, you guys have the green one. I don't want to hear this. And it was interesting. And also some other stuff like that is going on. So you have to understand that there is a continuity, that it can be influenced if you know where it is and what it is and who the individuals are. You can get a handle on it. And matter of fact, one of the CIA agents involved in this was a senior, but I had gone to UCLA with him and I knew it. I didn't realize that's what he was doing in life, but 50 years after, 40 years after graduating, that's what he was doing. So, it's not like these people are unknown to ordinary people. It's just that nobody pays much attention, and the people that might deliberately avoid paying attention.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.